curtain has fallen on Uganda's 11th parliament, ushering in a new legislative term under the 12th parliament. But as new legislators take office, debate continues over how the outgoing house performed in representing citizens, checking the executive, and safeguarding accountability.
So help me God.
Political analyst Ronald Leonard Egesa says the 11th parliament started with promise under the late Speaker Jacob Olanya. However, it increasingly lost independence and became aligned with ruling party interests.
Parliament took a different turn. So Anita Mong turned it into a nursery bed for her future political ambitions. So she started amassing a lot of power, and of course she had access to resources that she could use to consolidate power. Now that was drinking from the cup of the poisoned chalice, because with President Museveni's politics, you do not create an alternative center of power.
While analysts credit Parliament for passing several pieces of legislation with 138 bills passed, they say quite a number were not people-centered.
As it was symbolized by the latest passing of the Protection of National Sovereignty Bill, where you have people's representatives sitting in the House and they are protecting themselves against the people.
Other than the tax bills, the quality of the laws that the 11th Parliament have passed, majority of them close the civic space. So they will have a record for passing many laws where there was no sufficient public participation, but majority of which have also been challenged in the courts of law for being in conflict with the Constitution.
Former legislator John Simbwa says much of the legislation passed focused on strengthening government authority and security structures.
When you look at the Homosexuality Act, Anti-Homosexuality Act, when you look at the other laws like the UPDF Act and many others which they have passed, have strengthened government in power. So that is one plus that I give this parliament. Quality of debate in parliament keeps on going down. And I blame this on the voters.
You would saw how the parliamentary leadership, especially the Speaker, was treating honorable members of Parliament like children. Not even secondary school children, but like nursery school children. So, you know, with that kind of treatment, many people will resort to a self-preservation mode and, excuse themselves from the deliberations taking place in Parliament.
Still, some initiatives earned praise, including regional parliamentary sittings aimed at bringing legislators closer to the people.
By taking Parliament outside Kampala, we expected the members of Parliament from different regions to get to know and appreciate the problems of those particular regions. But we are surprised that this Parliament went out only once. It didn't move out again. But we pray that in the 12th Parliament, this initiative is taken on and the Parliament moves down.
The analysts also pinned the 11th Parliament for performing below the expected level in its oversight role, accountability and integrity.
This is a parliament where we have seen individuals working in parliament, accessing parliamentary funds through their accounts without justification. This has never happened, and nobody has questioned. We have seen money being taken or eaten under the guise of service awards. This has never happened. We have seen many people serving parliament. They have never received service awards.
The 11th Parliament will also be on record as having been marred by scandals, corruption scandals, including the leadership of Parliament that was sanctioned by 3 foreign countries over corruption, but also scandals of corruption and arrest of MPs for budget corruption. They have broken that record.
Executive Director of the Foundation for Human Rights Initiative, Livingstone Sawanyana, describes the performance as largely unsatisfactory.
With respect to very many legislations, they did not actually consult as required. Unlike in the previous parliaments, the 10th, the 9th, and the other parliaments, where it had become normal practice to consult as many agencies as possible while passing legislation. So, bearing all that in mind, I would say that the 11th Parliament could have performed much better than they did. A lot of the legislation they passed fails the test of an acceptable human rights friendly legislation.
Human rights defenders argue that Parliament also struggled to protect civil liberties and effectively check the executive.
The legislature, on many occasions, passed legislation which is not consistent with aspirations of the people. For example, the recent amendment in the Building Act and also other legislations I've talked about also shows that the rights of the population were not considered.
They all gave their final rating of Parliament's performance.
If I grade it as an appendage of the NRM, then I would give them 9 out of 10. If I grade it as a National Assembly, I would give them like 3 out of 10.
Legislation, yes, they have performed, notwithstanding all other problems. I give them a 6 out of 10. When it comes to oversight, representation, they are below average. That means they are below 5%.
I would say that in terms of rating, the 11th Parliament could be given 6 out of 10.
The performance of Parliament remains central to governance and democracy, especially at a time when citizens continue demanding stronger accountability and people-centered legislation.
As the 12th Parliament begins its work, expectations remain high that legislators will improve oversight, strengthen accountability, and rebuild public trust in the institution. Whether the new Parliament will chart a different course now remains something the country awaits to see. I'm Benjamin Jumbe, NTV Tonight.